Hello, and welcome to Wakilisha show that airs on PrayerCaveTV. It is our joy to have you today, and thank you so much for taking time to join us. Today is such a good day, the day that the Lord has made, and we are going to talk about such an important topic that is affecting our youth, and not only our youth, even the young ones, even the kids, as young as 7 years, as young as 6 years, and also adults. So it's such a vast and wide topic, and I welcome you today. Please welcome your peers, welcome your friends, welcome your neighbors, and I know that the Lord is going to speak and the Lord is going to bless you. Before we introduce our guest, I would like to read a verse that comes from the book of Romans 12:2, and it says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." As we listen to the words of the woman of God, just remember that God desires for you to live according to His will. And His will, in His will, righteousness is there. So He wants you to live a pure life, He wants you to live a righteous life, and He wants to have a walk with you. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you, and I hope that by the end of this show, you will be equipped and you will receive healing. If you are there, if you're already there is no condemnation. I pray that you receive healing. I hope that if you are thinking about it, this will help you to, involve God and stop. So without saying much, I want to introduce our guest today, a wonderful woman that we all know and love, and who is so passionate about the young people, and who has been walking this journey with us. I have personally learned so much from her. So Mama Abi, karibu sana.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you so much for having us.
And thank you.
So maybe for those who are new, you can tell us about yourself, what you do. Yes.
Okay, hello viewers. Praise be to God. My name is Priscilla Wajiko Muhya. I am a mother of 3 and a wife, and I am a high school teacher. I also do counseling as a side hustle, and I love to work with young people, and I love to see them grow the way God intended for them, so that they realize their purpose in life. And today, as we deal with this topic, I believe that somebody will get blessed.
So I'm here as a high school teacher because today we are addressing addiction, and we will dwell, because addiction is very vast. We are going to dwell into maybe one type of addiction. And so as a high school teacher and as a mother and as a counselor, these are things that you have, met with in your day-to-day life. You have found kids struggling with that. And so maybe you can tell us what is addiction, just to begin with.
Okay, I would like us to look at it in a very layman's language, so that we can put people on board. And I can say that addiction is anything that you find you are doing and you have no control over. There is something which is pushing you, and maybe you even wish to stop and you can't. And you can be addicted to anything, including eating fish or even chewing. Every time you find you are chewing and you can't stop chewing, you just feel, you want to chew. So addictions are many, and addiction is not good, because it means you are not in control of yourself. And the moment you lose control of yourself, there are so many other things that follow.
And is there a specific group of people that suffer from addiction, or who can suffer from addiction?
Anyone can suffer from addiction, beginning from the smallest to the oldest. Because we have old people that are addicted to drugs, alcohol, bad habits. So addiction has no age limit. Anyone can be addicted. And that means that each one of us, we must take charge of our life. so that we don't get there. And let me give a disclosure, a very simple one. When I was expecting my husband, I had an addiction which changed my perspective. Because I stopped judging people, I stopped being very harsh, and I got mercy and compassion. I was addicted to, it begins as a craving, and then it keeps on graduating. I just love to take ice water, water from the freezer. And I'm telling you, I knew it is not healthy, but I would just feel I want that one. And then I would say, I will not put water in the freezer, so that when I want it, there is none. Believe you me, Esther, I would find myself at night, maybe 1 a.m., standing waiting for the water to freeze, so that I take it. And I could not control it. And people would say, you are harming your child. Your child will come out with asthma. Until I had to ask my guy, what do I do? That's okay. He told me, by the time the water gets to the stomach already, the temperatures are regulated. But that experience, it really taught me that when you see somebody addicted, they are patient. You deal with them with compassion, and that way you can help. If you judge them, you can't help them. It was tough. I literally took that water for 9 months, any time of the day, even at night, and I couldn't stop. And I said, oh my, this is what addiction is like. And you see, for me, it was short-lived. So imagine somebody who is addicted to life. So addiction is a terrible experience, I would say.
And it's important that you've spoken about judging, because we feel that if maybe someone is addicted to drugs or sex addiction, it's the time that we tend to get away from them, especially us who are born again. But it's important to go closer to those people. Compassion.
And mercy. And that is the beautiful. The Bible says, love covers a multitude of sins. And you can never win people without loving them. So when we reject them, when we isolate them, we make it worse. And out there, on the other side, they are really embraced.
Okay, so what are the types of addiction?
Okay, we have said addiction can be from anything. You can be addicted to reading. I remember when we were young in high school, there were these meals and boons. I don't know whether you got them. Meals and boons. It was a series of romance books. Harlequin, reading novels. In our days, there was so much reading because there was not so much of mass media. So you can be addicted to reading, eating, drinking. But we can talk of the major addictions currently. We have the addiction to internet. That one, it is actually in the WHO, the World Health Organization. It is put under what we call diagnostic statistical manual. Now that means it is recognized. It's major, it's massive. If it is put in that DSM, actually they begin from 1 to 3. By now, maybe they are up to 10. I don't know how far they are now. But once something is documented there, it means it is something which requires attention. So currently we have the internet addiction. It is the biggest addiction currently. And from that we also get other addictions like sex addiction. And because we are dealing mainly with young people, it is so terrible because young people, once they learn. They have learned. When a child is born, they are born with, like the way you can open a page. It's blank. We call it tabula rasa. And it is up to you to fill the pages. So if you are filling the pages of a young child with such vices, you can imagine how erasive is going to be tough. So the major ones now we have drugs and substance abuse, alcohol. Actually, alcohol has really spiked among the young people. There is a culture of drinking that has come up, and we are a witness. If you look at our supermarkets, at our shopping malls, they are full of liquor stores. and they have beautiful names, Little library, you know, to make it look like very enticing, Little supermarket, you know, and this has seen young people they are drinking so much, especially the school ones, school going, and they are beginning early.
Wow, and so today we want to delve into internet addiction. So, in very simple terms, maybe you can tell us what internet addiction is, because as we say, there are very many types of addiction, but we are focusing on this one type that is very broad, that ranges from, so many things, from, Netflix and things like that. And the third part is, this type of addiction is very normalized. We take TikTok and such sites as something very normal, and so we don't keep it doing the damage in kids and in us ourselves. So in maybe simplicity, for the sake of understanding, you can tell us what internet addiction is.
Okay, internet addiction in very simple terms is the overuse of electronic media. So that people are spending too much time on it, many hours on it, consuming whatever content there is, and then it becomes a problem. Because there are kids who will not even eat because they are glued. The others who will not even bathe. I know of a student who failed all the exams. They would not know when it is time to do the task, write the term papers, because they were just on their laptop, the excitement. They're on the laptop, they are just searching and just lost in that world. And so they were not even attending classes. Okay, I would say those are effects, but basically spending too much time. The psychologists say for kids, they should not spend more than 2 hours on the internet. But we see that even small children, the parents are using the phones to babysit them and the electronic media. And so they begin so it's a way of life for them. They grow up knowing this is what we do. They just slide, And by the time they're getting to be grown up, it is the content which judges. Now they can choose. So it is too much time studying on the internet, and I said it is so serious that it is documented in the among the mental illnesses. There are what we call the diagnostic statistical manuals, and the World Health Organization has recorded that internet addiction, because it's affecting so many people, and unfortunately it has no age bracket. It can be from day one to a man or a woman of 90 years or beyond.
Wow, that is such a sad thing, because if children are growing up and the only thing they know is the phone, so if a parent is busy, they give the phone to the kids. No supervision, no nothing whatsoever. And this is damaging children in so many ways.
And very damaging.
And so in connection to that, we can maybe get into the way that teens, because we are mostly looking at children, the young people, how they are getting into, what are some of the ways that they are getting into the internet addiction,
So we have said that some of them begin early, because their parents give them access. And sometimes there are series we are following on TV, and so we know these hours we are there, downloading. There are cyber that download. I had a testimony from a certain teacher, Sunday school teacher, that she went to a cyber, and a young boy came and he wanted some series, like from the Bible, downloaded for banned. The way they ban on CD. And she was amazed, because most people come to, they want pornography and other unpalatable materials. So these things are accessible to the young people, and they choose what they like. It can even be football, you know. But when you spend too much time on one thing, there is another area that is suffering, eh? Because these young people, they are within the school going age, eh? And even if they are through with high school, they're in college. So that is one. And then, you know, these days there's a lot of virtual learning. So whichever way, they must use the internet to learn. Therefore, they must have either a phone or a laptop. And in the process, they go beyond what they are supposed to do. And that is normal, because there are good things on internet. It's not just the bad ones. And then we have the social media groups, the Instagram, the Facebook, TikTok, Netflix. You know, the list is endless, eh? And you know, there is this thing about young people, they like what is trending. Actually, even if you go to your phone, whether for Google search, you will find what is trending. They even guide you. And so you just slide. So there is so much on the internet. We also have the news sites, and those are the most destructive, because they call them dating sites, and they think it's just a normal dating, but once they get there, they find it's pornography. And because young people are curious, they want to discover, they're adventurous, they're just like, let me see a little what is there, and pop, they're hooked.
And you know, it's so sad because these sites are so easily accessible.
Very.
You know, I can mention about Netflix because I have a bit of information about it. I have actually information about it. It started as a paid subscription where people would pay, and you know, because the devil is a liar, now it's accessible as long as you download it on phone. It's free, which means kids have a reason to be on the phone for the whole day using such a site, and one thing leads to the other. Maybe they had a movie from friends. After that movie, they'll want to watch another movie. And here in the Netflix, for example, there are movies that are, just naked people, and so many bad things happening, because of the world we are in. Meaning that as long as that child has a phone, and as long as that child knows how to download apps, it's very easy for them to download Netflix and watch anything they might want for free without any supervision. So you find that someone is on the phone for so many hours, and even the gaming apps that are so many nowadays. And so some of these gaming apps are very bad in that they are sex games and murder games and all that, and the child will be locked up in the room for so many hours. And if someone does not take the stand as a parent, means that child might get low. Which brings me to my next question. How are the parents? I know you've mentioned a bit about parents babysitting, but how are the parents contributing to this? And what is it that parents should do? Because now, I have a brother who is in college, and I can tell you he spends a good amount of time on phone. And my dad will tell him, I'll take that phone away from you. So what role are the parents playing in what the children are doing from such a young age?
Okay, we have said number one, parents are the initiators at times, because they allow the kids to have the phone, even sometimes in fact. If a child is disturbing you and you want to follow, you give them the phone, and they settle because they can, and then you're not even checking what they're watching. And so if they're using your phone, it's good you check the browsing history, and then you can see what have they been doing. Even a computer, you can follow if they're not smart enough, because they can also delete it. Then the parents should know this code that I have given, what is the purpose? Because if you're not using it for schoolwork, sometimes it is not useful to leave a kid with a phone. You go to work in the morning, you will come in the evening, and really there's nothing major. So the parents can put controls, and then even the phones, they can be set with parental control, so that they are limited to where they can, to what extent they can access. And then even the money, you know, it is costlier, whether they're using the Wi-Fi or the data bundles. They don't work, so who provides the money for the data bundles, even for the phone? So the parents should monitor that. And also, it is a bit complicated because sometimes if you stop them in your house, they will go. Yes, and I have known even a friend of mine, the child was introduced to pornography by the house girl. So, and she's not aware. So one day she just finds the girl doing something, and then akaona amestuka ameogopa. So when the child, of course, she took the phone, and then she said it was phone. So you can imagine how you are broken. Then you don't know how long it has been going. It has been going on. And after to tell you how dangerous and damaging this thing is, there is a clip that was sent to our staff wall about a boy who damaged things around the house. I think he got a mallet or some sort, and he knocked everything. So even the toilet seat, everything was knocked down. The TV, everything, went berserk, so to say. Why? The mother confiscated the phone. And the boy is, I think, is it 9 years? Imagine. So the boy is so addicted. Yani, they cannot imagine, how can I stay without a phone? And this is also spiritual, because what happens, when you do something repeatedly, it's like the way, we grow in the village, you would see a mode of aunties, because they keep putting, they stay there, they are doing something at that point, and then something manifests. So at this point when they get addicted, it means it has been repeated. It has been going on for some time. And then you are discovering a little bit too late. So the mother is crying, and clearly she can see this child is not normal. Even the energy, even the distraction, and she said, that child can even harm any other person. So this is, but who gave the child that phone? Yeah? And why? Like even if it's Wi-Fi, you can keep changing the password so that they are using it when you want. Yeah? You can, because we are doing something, we are giving so many rights to the children. And they are learning them in school. And today's children, they have a high sense of rights, what is justice, so to say. But it is one-sided, it's not balanced, because a child will watch TV all day, all that, search on the internet, but they want to eat, they want their, all those needs. So we, the parents, should create a balance and provide information that their things are harmful. Even cartoons, sometimes you think they are very innocent, but there is a lot of evil work which is going on. For example, there are cartoons that are designed to propagate homosexuality. They just bring the couples, there is a value they are passing. Others are designed, there's a lot of suffering. And those things, the spirit of the child is absorbing. Slowly by the time you are confronting, they are in another level. And that is why they become so aggressive. So the parents have got a very big role. I know we cannot do it without God, really, Esther, because we go to school, we need to communicate with the children so they have a phone. Even if you deny them, they are very innovative, they will find a way. They will find a way. They will get a neighbor. So you'd rather they do it within your house. But I believe that is where God comes in. Yeah. We are not know-it-all, and we ask God for wisdom to raise them. But more for Esther, it goes back to values. What values have you raised instilled in the family? Because if you have instilled some values, like that child, she knew, this thing I'm watching, mom would not approve. So, an area, you see. So, when we raise values, the values they guard, they safeguard. Yeah.
Wow. So the takeaway there is, in as much as we try as parents, pray for our kids, pray for their lives, pray for whatever they are doing, because they and also the values that we are instilling in them are very important. And you've mentioned something about a child who destroyed everything. And I remember reading about a boy in the US, 14 years old, that murdered his mother because she did not buy him a PS5. PS is a kit that has games, many games computer games where people can play all sorts of games, and they have levels to them. So PS4, PS5. And these games are expensive actually. They are expensive. And kids are going crazy over these things, which is so sad, because it's one of the things that is taking our children's time. Children going as far as making them in school, it's very sad. And so,
before you say the next thing, we are dealing with addiction, and so by the time the child is killing the mother, there is that addiction. The child cannot do without it, and therefore anything coming between them and the PlayStation, I would rather deal with it. Because and it destroys the mind, by the way, the reasoning. Because now the boy does not reason out. If I kill my mother anyway, who will buy me the PS?
Wow. And how because this is a very serious issue. And what I always say, and you told me something before we started, that's something that is so popular. Like how, say, Netflix is so popular, everyone is watching it, and everyone is doing TikTok, making it look so normal, while it's doing something inside someone. So how is it? And I love that you say that you don't like anything that is so popular. How is it that we can know as parents? How does someone know when the kid, even as teachers, when the kid is going through addiction? How do you know?
When people are addicted, they display some characteristics. For example, a child who is addicted, number one, they isolate themselves because they want to spend time doing their thing. And this addiction, I know I worked with a colleague at some point in another working environment. The colleague was totally addicted, and even she would say, so when we would meet, we arrive, we are to report to our staff room, and we lay out the strategies for the day. She would remain in the car. She would remain in her car, and she would stay there, going through whatever sites anapenda, and she's aware that she's addicted, and she would just come out when we are going out to report to our workstation. And I said that there are lots of things that's missing out. The life, we go, we take breakfast together, we laugh, we share, and all that thing, even we would pray together. So all that is cut off. So addiction brings isolation, because you must feed your habits. And so when you see a child isolating themselves too much, even their health, and yes, unfortunately, being on the media is, you have to bed kind of, so it's even affecting their health. And they're still growing, So maybe they bend for too many hours. The muscles, maybe the spine is compressed. So there is another cycle of problems that is coming in. So that is one. Then there is that irritability, because one of the things that, like for us teachers, what we have seen, children have lost a lot of creativity. You know, in our days, you know, somebody would write a story and you can make a movie out of it. That one, today it is lacking, because the best way to learn is to involve your senses, all of them, the eyes, the ears, but you know, when you're watching, you know, this internet thing, you are not so involved. Not many faculties are involved. Ni macho tu, akili hata iko, unaona tu, you are just taking in, you are not even processing, and therefore it is contributing to poor performance, because kids are not creative, and then there is baggage, there is overload of information. And I don't know whether you have spent a day, maybe you are free and you are watching so many things, then you are like, your head is, so there is a lot of information overload. Ni kama vile hata simu inajaa, you need to delete, and they are not doing it. So you can find this child is very irritable. Maybe they don't sleep enough because the whole night, and you know, sometimes that abandons are sleeper at night, so they know which hours are favorable, so that's when they do it. So they don't sleep enough, they don't, sometimes they neglect even eating. I have seen that with some, they don't eat. Of course, friendships, the relationships are really affected. They are broken because yes, you don't socialize. You make a cocoon, and in the process, you miss out on some stages of growth. Because when kids are growing, they must go through each stage properly. If they don't, they will still go back to it. That is why somebody can be working, but they cannot teamwork. They can't work. They have no team spirit. They are not team players. They are just isolated. They don't know how to deal with people. They just know how to deal with their phone. And we cannot underestimate that sometimes they get involved with people, strangers. They are chatting with strangers, and these strangers can manipulate. You talked about this populist today. Personally, I keep off. Anything very popular, even if it looks good, I keep off. Because I have known that many times behind it, there is something else. For it to be that popular, there may be a sacrifice that would have been done. And this I learned because of some musicians who would say, before I recorded, I went and slept I went to the cemetery, and I spent the whole night sleeping on my father's grave to get powers. You see, sometimes they dedicate those things to the devil. They ask the devil, welcome. They literally say, welcome. So it is powered by another force. So you are just like Netflix. So I'm not saying there is anything, but something which is so popular, but there is another power. And that power is the one which will control, you. And I'm telling you, Esther, that kind of people, even when they come to church and you're speaking about Jesus, there is a force within them which is repelling. And sometimes they will sleep. I don't know whether you have seen people who will come to church and sleep. They will wake up when it is over. They will come to church and they are so bored. They are like, what are people saying? You know, they don't connect. You become detached. So all those are red flags. Lack of interest in anything. Lack of energy. And it can even lead to other problems like obesity, lifestyle diseases. Because, you know, internet, you lead a very sedentary lifestyle because kukaa ama kulala, you're doing nothing. So it is so distracting. And it takes, you know, you talked about that, and I've remembered about a culture that is coming up in families.
where families are no longer eating together or having, family conversations. In the past, people we don't sit together, maybe in the kitchen and just talk. But nowadays, we see that a teenager or a kid will stay all day in his or her room. When it's time for food, she will go and get the food and go back to the room. And it's a thing that is making parents to really complain, and it is so sad because that is, destroying
the fabric of the society.
Yeah.
Internet has no checks and balances. Because if somebody is doing wrong, you say, hapo, rekebisha. No. But if you're watching a series, it's just you and watching. Nobody is telling you this is not good. So you prefer this person. They become a person. They become a person who will never reprimand you. They will never tell you hapo umekosea. So you become the better option. The internet becomes the better option. Wow. But in the process, that person, the personality is destroyed. There is no growth in personality. The vices, the virtues, the things you run from, dealing with others, and that is why we end up having a very sick society. Because you go to an office, people can't read, and you must. In any organization, even in church, even here, we must work as a team. If they can't create ideas, how can our goals, how can we advance them?
The devil is using the bodies and the brains of these children and these people, to create havoc in their lives. And so, how is it that we can help those who are already in need? Because there are thousands, even though we might want to, ignore that fact. Thousands, even in the church, are dealing with these kinds, all sorts of addictions. How can we help them?
Number one, I always like to say, as long as you are alive, there is hope. It doesn't matter how far you have reached there is hope when you are alive. And number one, there is hope in Christ. Because God is able to do anything. God can do with anything. God raised Lazarus. He was dead for days. So, none of them is dead. They are still alive. And then, of course, number one, we give them love. There is something we call in psychology unconditional positive regard. UPR. UPR means you don't judge. You listen to their story, Like you can even investigate, how did you begin? Would you like to stop? What are the triggers? Why do you investigate? And we may not save all those thousands of people, but just even one person. If you can save one person, that is good enough for in the kingdom of God. So then we should create awareness, and especially parents. They need seminars. Parents need seminars because the children, they are really digital, and they really go ahead, and the parents are just there. They don't know what is happening, and so parents need to network. Like me as a parent of teenagers, I work with other parents of teenagers, and we stage measure, and we supervise each other. We see what needs to our children have. We pray for them, we encourage each other, we give information. So that is the way, empowering the parents, so that they can empower their children. And then as many times as you have an opportunity, like the Sunday school teachers, the school teachers, anybody, anytime you have an opportunity, create awareness that internet can be a sickness, and indeed it is a sickness. And if there is an avenue the enemy is using today, it is that, and it is catching the young generation. Why? The young generation is very targeted, because if the enemy is able to catch them, there is a connection that will be cut. Because like you are stable spiritually, so if the enemy is able to catch your children, if the enemy can't catch your children, and you pass your values to your children, you see there is prosperity, there is continuity. Lakini if the enemy catches your children, there is something which is cut. So, empowering, and I still want to say, Christ is the answer. Love. And for us who are in church, let's just give our love to them. Let's be kind to them. Even listening to their stories, even finding out how can we help. And we must be very careful not to create dependency, because some people may just be there. They are not making progress, but they are just coming to you. They offload, they go and load again. You see, just to give. And then of course, the counseling is available everywhere. When you need it, it is available. And I believe that there are support groups that you can, if you really need help, it is there, it is available. But more so, information, both for parents and for the children.
Thank you so much, Mama Abby. This is such a platform where personally I've gotten to learn a lot, even for my kids in the future. And this is only the beginning of a series that is going to come, but there are so many takeaways taken from this about instilling values in children, about because some of these things are the devil targeting our kids to really pray and stand in the gap for our children and the generations to come. So thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk about this big giant that is eating up our society. And if you are there and you are already so deep in it, remember that God is always open arms. Jesus is open arms, ready to receive you back. And here you can receive all the help. We have our youth pastor. So all hope is not lost. As for the parents, let us stand and pray for our children. Let us instill values in our children from the young age, and let us take time to spend with our children. And let us not normalize the issue of internet addiction. It's a big issue. It's eating up our children. And this is a series that is going to continue so that you can hear more about what the internet addiction and other types of addiction is even connected to mental health. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us. I hope that you have learned a lot. I hope that you will continue learning together. And I hope that this, even for one person, this has helped someone. And as we close, I'll read a verse from the book of Titus, chapter 2, verse 11 to 12. It says, "For the grace of God has appeared that offers salvation to all people." It teaches us It teaches us to say no to ungodliness and the worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in this present age. I pray today that the grace of the Lord may appear to you, so that you may learn to say no to ungodliness and worldly pleasures. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, may God bless you, may God keep you, may God favor you, and may God be with you. Thank you.